AEW has a major problem going on, which I'm going to address. And we're also going to look at Jeff Hardy, who has opened up on the way that he's been booked in AEW thus far in 2023 and probably going forward. Now, the problem with AEW is the change. And I actually asked this in a recent poll on the YouTube channel, which is, do you think AEW is giving a good product? Look, the momentum that AEW once had is no longer there following its launch in 2019, as the promotion started at a critical time in wrestling history. The WWE product had become stale, with notable business metrics, ratings, merchandise, ticket sales, and social media engagement simply being on the decline. And fans rallied behind AEW for years. However, since Triple H has taken over main roster WWE Creative in the summer of 2022, well, things have simply just turned around in WWE, and WWE's business is simply on fire, while AEW's business has seen declines across the board, and those metrics that I mentioned above. Now, look, in early December, AEW decided to cut ties with Kevin Sullivan, who was their vice president of post-production. A decision made by Mike Mansouri, the senior vice president and co-executive producer of AEW. Many people in AEW thought highly of Sullivan, who had actually joined AEW from Impact Wrestling years ago. He built AEW's post-production team, and reportedly, there was a feeling that the original AEW has greatly changed. And Dave Meltzer recently talked about this on a Wrestling Observer Radio about how the internal reaction to the release and the feeling in AEW is that the promotion has changed from what it started out. And I actually felt this last year when they rebranded, really around the time that they brought in, could have been earlier this year. Don't quote me on that. Either way, I thought the decline started after All Out Brawl Out, but really in the early state of 2023, when they really started to change their product, the way that they look, the way that it shoots, who they use, I thought it started to change. And my interest personally had declined in AEW's product because I didn't like the product that they were giving. QT Marshall, who is recently departing from AEW at the end of 2023, he reportedly felt like the promotion was too lenient on just great matches and Tony Khan's insistence on trying to be a American-style New Japan where you just book good matches with no storylines, essentially. And the matches are the storylines instead of the storylines leading to matches, which is what WWE does, which is what Impact does, and a lot of other promotions have done in the past, TNA, WCW, etc. I think this is a problem because why do I care about this match if I don't care about the people involved? It's simply put. And newsflash, Tony Khan, New Japan has not been able to connect with the American audience before AEW, while into AEW's tenure in a partnership with AEW. They've not been able to connect. And that's a problem, and that's something that they're going to need to address. Now, shifting gears, let's get into Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy made the jump to AEW following his WWE release. They cut him and they're like, oh, wait, we want you back following his issues with substance, right? They thought he failed a drug test. He had to weird a live event. They cut him. They realized, oh, the drug test came back clean. Hey, can you come back? Is that no? He went to AEW. He paired up with Matt Hardy, and then obviously he had his DUI arrest and was off television for months. And ever since then, returning in the middle of 2023, Jeff has been paired with his brother Matt Hardy as a tag team. They've been used mostly on Rampage, and when they are booked, which is not always a regular thing, well, they've been putting over other teams. And so while appearing on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast, Jeff Hardy actually admitted that he feels like a ghost in AEW as he did in WWE. This is what he had to say, and I think it's very interesting. When I first came back to AEW, it was pretty exciting. I didn't know what was going to happen in the future. But I think the last time I was extremely dimension of y'all's podcast, I said that in WWE I felt like a ghost just walking around backstage. Honestly, man, kind of feel the same way in AEW, just because of not being involved in something cool. I feel like there's something so special that we, meaning Matt and Jeff, have within us to really bring out, end quote. Here's the reality of the situation. Jeff Hardy is a liability. He's a liability because you never know when he's going to honestly screw up your plans or embarrass your promotion. Another aspect of Jeff Hardy is he's not as good as he once was in the ring. He's no longer in his prime, and he's an aging Jeff Hardy. You also have Matt Hardy, who is not in his prime whatsoever. He has a great mind for the business, but his in-ring days should be very limited. He's on the stage 9, right? I understand why Tony Khan books them the way that they do. They're not the same Hardy Boys as the 2017 version in WWE, and they're older, aging, big name stars who can put over younger talent and give younger talent experience in the ring. And that's the way they should be booked, and that's the reason they are booked the way they are.